So how do you think about kind of measuring the impact that content is having? And I guess at each stage of the funnel as well, because the other thing I thought about is like, you were talking about, okay, we can drive a lot of engagement when we talk about cold calling. Well, I've always felt that, right? I can go and put certain content on my LinkedIn and it's going to get loads of likes. It's going to make me feel great. It's going to fill me with dopamine because you've got an army of SDRs that are on LinkedIn and their job is to go out and engage with founders on LinkedIn. So like, shock horror, I get loads of likes. So it's like, and you're in a difficult sector, I guess, where it's easy to drive vanity metrics with your topic focus. So how do you think about measurement and therefore making sure that you are measuring what matters within that?
Yeah, so it's actually interesting, and I can talk to the cold calling content point because that has been a pushback that we always got, and we're able to sort of like dispel the myth that it was just SDRs that were engaging with us and that it has therefore no revenue impact. Although it is mainly SDRs that engage with us, it's actually a surprising number of senior leaders that engage with that content as well. So, and that's where I think good content will just always like prevail. So I get the team to measure it on like what I say to them is 1 + 1 = 2 on it, which is that you look at engagement with the content as a leading metric. We look at the audience of the content that we're attracting in as part of that and making sure it fits and we're inviting the right people to that content. So we want to look at like mid-market plus companies and like within our defined regions as well. And then if we're seeing that our audience is improving in size and also quality and that the content is engaging, that we will inevitably see that later in influence pipeline and revenue from that content. And if those metrics don't align in any way, then we know that we're like, yeah, you may be bringing up a storm, but you're not actually like delivering something that actually leads to pipeline or like to people converting. I think the key things that we find that like would help us, like that we now know that would make us see that they're going to convert later is that it has to have that dotted line back to the product. So you could talk about any content, all right, and then drive engagement metrics, but it has to be like something that you could potentially solve at the end of the day so that people can make that connection themselves, but you don't need to talk about it. It just becomes an obvious connection. And actually influencing what it would be the user base for us, like SDRs, it's like immensely valuable because they go on to then influence in the deal. And so they might take up some of that cold calling content and like get involved in it, but then they talk about Cognism internally, something you can't track, but that's definitely happening. But also what we also found is that it's not always the SDRs that surface the content first. Even if they're the ones who are coming to read the blog, they're the ones coming on the webinar. We've found many times where it's a sales leader that finds the content and tells his SDRs to attend the webinar, or they find the blog and they send it around their team. We have a like big rock piece of content on the website called SDR Zone. It's 60% of all of the traffic to that website or to that page is of those with senior titles. So they come and they find all the content on the SDR Zone and then send it back around their team. And like we have customers who actually have now included it in their onboarding of their SDRs so that they have that as like a resource that they can use. So sometimes actually like the user content or like the individual contributor content is exactly what the leaders are looking for, because it enables them to action their strategy internally anyway. Like I didn't think people always, obviously if you've got an amazing strategy or you have someone new starting out, they might want to learn a strategy from you. But I think a lot of leaders don't actually want to come and be told a whole strategy from a blog. They want to know how to action one that probably lots of people are doing, and really great ways to inspire their team to do it. So I think it's like a common thing we can fall into, that then we're gonna have to write about go-to-market strategies the whole time rather than actually like, well, okay, great. I know that I need to run an outbound strategy, but how do I actually make my team high performing and get them to do a good job of it? That's the bit that everyone's actually struggling with.
It's like the practicalities of it, which actually also is probably the content gap that exists in the market. It's interesting. I've not heard someone call, like, it probably happens all the time, right? But call that out as a deliberate strategy of like content that enables leaders for their team. Because you kind of in one fell swoop, you set above and below the line, right? It's if you think about what that is within an organization, you're such an integral part of their internal operation at that point.
Yeah, and I think if you think about, and I think about it from my perspective, if I attend a webinar and someone just tells me what ABM is again, I'm like, I just couldn't give a shit. Like, I'm really sorry. It's so, I obviously know what it is. It's really boring. If I attend a webinar and someone says, this is how I run an ABM program, and then they give me some nugget of like information about something they do with their team, a tactic they haven't thought about, that's the stuff that comes straight back in the channel. And I'm like, I've just heard this, we need to test it. And that's the content I'll keep going back to. And that's like exactly the same, I think, with everything. So if someone attends a webinar and probably talks about, I don't know, SDR to AE ratios, I don't think any sales leader is there having their mind blown. But if someone says, my team has been running this cadence and trialing, and I've been trialing this opener, and I've been seeing these results, that's the first thing they're going to go back and tell their team, and be like, this is something we should try.
Yeah, I like that. I think it's something I'll take on board for myself, actually. Like there's a little bit of hubris in that, right? Like we all want to solve our customers' biggest problems and present ourselves as the kind of solution to the big meaty problems. And that obviously is a good thing, but you don't have to do it in every interaction. Sometimes just helping and adding value is what's needed. And it's the practicalities that they need help with day in and day out, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.